Hello everyone, welcome back to the morning show. I'm your host, Ben Wiebold, and today we have an exclusive interview with Eric Schlosser and his thoughts and opinions about his new book, Fast Food Nation. Now, I personally have read the book and I found it to be very interesting, but for our viewers at home who haven't had the opportunity to read it, can you give us a quick overview of it? This book explores the origination as well as development of the fast food industry and its impacts on American culture, American health, as well as even the government. In writing this book, I used historical and scientific facts along with interviews from people who are involved in the industry, and I also visited many restaurants, farms. I went to a couple farms. I went to a couple meat packing factories, I guess that's what you call them. But so the main purpose was to sort of, capture every aspect of fast food industry, and I think this book did a really good job of that. Now, obviously, this is a nonfiction book, but what I found to be very interesting was the real life people in it that helped make the fast food industry. Are there any specific people that come to mind, and if so, can you tell us about them? Well, the obvious standouts were the people who really created the fast food industry. Namely Carl Karcher, who actually created Carl's Jr., as well as the McDonald's brothers, who created, obviously, McDonald's. These guys were from Southern California, and they were smart enough to realize that with the increased production in cars as well as a boost in the number of women in the workforce, that there would be a need for inexpensive, fast meals for American families. Interesting. Now, in reading this book, I found one statement that I found to be very thought-provoking. On page 9, you quote, "This is an industry that both feeds off of the young." Can you elaborate on that for us? Yeah, absolutely. When the fast food industry hit a lull in its initial growth, companies were trying to figure out a way to appeal to a wider audience, and by doing so, they started marketing to children. And they introduced things like the Happy Meal, which came with a toy. They had playgrounds in their restaurants, and also they created Ronald McDonald, who was probably just as famous as Mickey Mouse. Interesting. Now, while creating this book, what important details sort of stood out for you the most? And I would probably have to say that the thing that stood out to me the most was the extremely harsh working conditions as well as the poor treatment of the workers in the meatpacking plants. And I met with numerous people who all worked within these plants, and they all seem to have the same story. Fast food companies, in order to make all their food at such a cheap price, they invest in very few yet very big, like, ranching operations and these meatpacking plants to sort of streamline, the process of growing and processing the food that is eventually served to you in restaurants. But these conditions are terrible. I mean, the factories are just extremely unsafe and unsanitary. The workers themselves don't receive any medical insurance nor compensation, which is terrible to think of. Wow, that's deep. But thank you so much for your time and your insight into the American fast food industry. We appreciate it much, and we have a lot to think about.